I saw that.
And we're now live.
Thank you. I'd like to call the special meeting of the San Mateo County Harbor District to order, please, on February 10th, 2021 from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chan-Corrali,
Present.
Commissioner Ryring,
Here.
Commissioner Matoush,
Here.
Commissioner Zemke,
Here.
Commissioner Lorenz. Commissioner Lorenz, I think you're muted.
Here.
There you go.
Okay, great. Thanks for being here, everyone. We have a quorum, and so let's open it up to public comment number 1 for items that the public can comment on that are not directly or that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments, Melanie?
We have John Ullum with a hand raised in the chat.
Okay, I'll take his public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, President Corrali, the opportunity to speak.
Yes.
On Friday, Coastal Commission is meeting to approve the CDP for the Coastline West Trail project. Just want to give a shout out to Ed Lorenz and Sabrina Brennan, who did a lot of work on the side to work on the living shoreline way to attack the problem versus just building a seawall, which was the method preferred by Corrali and Matoush and Raring. So I just want to give a real big shout out and a thank you again to Ed and Sabrina for going above and beyond and not just doing the basics, but getting something out there that we and even this Harbor Commission can be proud of the way they're dealing with the issue. Congratulations to the new member, Commissioner Zemensky. You might want to look into who actually decides things at the Harbor District. Ask city manager up at South San Francisco to explain why it is the residents of South San Francisco ended up paying obligations that belong to the developers out there at Oyster Point. You'll find that, well, you'll find out who it is you really work for if you were to check into that. Thank you.
Lizzie, do we have any, or Melanie, do we have any other public comment?
We don't have any more hands raised.
Okay, then I will close public comment and we'll go to the discussion item, which is the goal and priority setting for today, and to allow us to give direction to the general manager. Jim, would you like to take it away for this particular item?
Yes, thank you. With your permission, I'll share my screen.
Thank you.
I just want to confirm you see a document that says San Mateo County Harbor District General Managers 2021 Goals and Objectives.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Matoush. President Corrali and commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to talk about goals and objectives that I put together based on several different aspects of the district, which I'll get into next. But first, I want to just look at last year and review and the accomplishments that the Harbor District was able to achieve and do over the year, even with the COVID-19 restrictions and pandemic. And that's the first and foremost thing I wanted to mention, that under the guidance provided by the Board of Harbor Commissioners, staff has done a remarkable job in ensuring the safety of the public during COVID-19 pandemic, as the harbor and the marina continue to operate and provide essential services. We allowed commercial fishing to continue, which is a vital service to our communities. And as soon as we were able to safely open off the dock sales, we did that. And thus far through this year, there has not been a known outbreak or contamination at the Harbor District. So great job by the staff in doing that. The board also took emergency action in response to the CZU lightning fire in opening up our parking lots for the evacuees if needed to park their RVs. While we did have a few people take advantage of it, they were very short term. We were kind of a stop so that they could move on into more long-term situations that if needed. We completed the fishing pier at Pillar Point Harbor. We really wanted to do a ribbon cutting for that, but with COVID-19, we weren't able to. But the pier is open and it is being used quite a bit by the public. The Harbor's Master's Office renovation project is complete, is now fully accessible, and it is a better workspace for the crew at Pillar Point Harbor.
Jim, I think you're on mute.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. We were able to do the timber pilings for the refrigerator flat at Pillar Point Harbor, extending the life of that platform until we get it replaced. A big step forward in water quality for the district. We, working with the RCD, we got the stormwater pipe under the St. Augustine stormwater pipe. It's cleaned, and it looks great now. And we also sealed off any improper drain heading into that pipe to prevent it from going in the harbor. Again, with the goal of improved water quality. The West Trail project is in its final stages of planning and working through the permitting process. And we do expect to have a positive response from the Coastal Commission on Friday and get the permit issued, which is great news. And we would, if we stay on schedule, the West Trail project will be completed in 2021. The RV Park Restroom and Green Space project at Surfers Beach, again, is in the final stages of design after the board selected the preferred option and will be going out to bid soon. The restroom project at Catch Joanne is in its final stages of design and will be coming before the board for final approval. And we expect to complete that project in 2021. Surfers Beach replenishment project is also in its final stages and working towards obtaining required permits. That's significant in that it will allow for the beneficial reuse of sand dredged from inside the harbor to replenish Surfers Beach with clean and compatible sand. As a result of the Surfers Beach project, also eelgrass from Pillar Point Harbor, a comprehensive survey will be has been contracted and will be used to determine the status of eelgrass in the harbor, as well as a mitigation plan to allow for dredging. The eelgrass mitigation will impact and allow for the Surfers Beach replenishment project and continue, as well as a foundational document to develop comprehensive dredging program in Pillar Point Harbor for years to come. We installed new warning signs out on the breakwaters to advise the public of the dangers of sneaker waves. And we also installed wildlife informational signs to advise the public to avoid wildlife and also what is legal and illegal about taking of wildlife from the beaches. Completed several electrical upgrades at Oyster Point Marina. We completed non-skid decking on several of the docks at Oyster Point Marina, greatly increasing the safety of those docks. The district received a clean, unmodified opinion of the financial statements for fiscal year 1920. And the Government Finance Officers Association awarded the district a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for our 2021 budget. We also maintained our Special District Leadership Foundation District Transparency Certificate of Excellence, which was all great and large part due to staff's involvement. Those are just a few of the things that we were able to accomplish over the last year. And I think it's a great list and we did a great job and staff really was a large part in making sure this happened. In developing the goals for 2021, I'm looking at calendar year 2021 and not beyond for these goals, because I think we can accomplish what I'm recommending in the year 2021. I took into consideration the current operations of the district, the 2021 budget and reserve policy. The 2021 capital improvement program is approved by the board. The San Mateo County Harbor District Strategic Plan, taking into consideration the mission, the vision, the core values, and the goals. It's my belief that and recommendation that the following projects, issues, and policy be addressed and or accomplished in calendar year 2021. The first one I have listed, and as a side note, these are not in a prioritized list at all or order, because I believe we can do them all. So I didn't feel a need to prioritize them. And so they're just put in order as I entered them onto the document. But the first one is complete district master plan. That's in line with strategic goal number 1 and number 2 of our strategic plan. And the district has requested proposals for interested firms. We got responses from 5. Interviews have been conducted, and we'll be making a recommendation to the board for a consultant to help us develop that master plan on February 17th. I believe we can complete and implement a comprehensive Johnson Pier safety plan. That's in line with strategic goals number 3 and 4. The volume of the users of the pier is greatly increased with the off-the-dock sales and also the increased number of fishing boats and offloads. And a new comprehensive safety plan to address all safety issues on Johnson Pier need to be addressed. And I'll add that it's more of a comprehensive Johnson safety plan and operational plan that will address parking, vehicles, off-the-dock sales, and pedestrian traffic. With this morning, the Water Board adopted the amendments to the basin plan. So in line with that, the water quality at the beaches of Pillar Point is in line with strategic goal number 5 and 8. Needs to be a top priority for the district. And I think with the amendment not becoming effective until later this year, we can work on developing and executing a comprehensive plan to identify and eliminate any source of pollutants entering or has the potential entering the harbor from sources within the harbor. And just as a side note to that one, just recently, the harbor staff in their rounds noticed that the top of the fish spire building at the end of Johnson Pier was completely coated with bird guano, and that the rain gutters on that building were completely full of bird guano based on the number of birds that rest up there. We solicited and we found a company that's certified to remove that. That company does come in now on a quarterly basis and removes all the bird guano, and then also cleans the roof and filters the water before going back in the harbor. So that source of bacteria into the harbor is significantly reduced now. Those are some of the actions we take. I also think we can work with local agencies and organizations to address the overall pollution sources causing elevated values of Enterococcus in the harbor itself. And those are all identified in the basin plans and the TMDL report from the coastal zone. Initial thoughts on that is to establish a roundtable of all involved agencies to learn best practices and do a joint response versus each agency working on its own. I think with real property leases, strategic goals number 3, 6, and 7, we need to complete the real property lease for the Catch Joanne restaurant, complete the real property lease for Maverick Surf Shop. Also, we need to complete the amendment to the RV park lease to reflect the RV park restroom and green space project. Number 5 is complete the commercial activity permit review and update. That is going before the board on the 17th of February, where I'm making recommendations on updates to bring into compliance the commercial activity permits with current law and policies. Number 6, I want to maintain the Special District Leadership Foundation District Transparency Certificate of Excellence, which is in line with goals 5, 6, and 7. I want to complete a comprehensive and balanced budget again, strategic goal 5, 6, and 7 once again. I also want to earn a clean, unmodified opinion of the district's financial statements for fiscal year 2021. Those are again goals 5, 6, and 7. I want to earn recognition by the Government Financial Officers Association again, for outstanding budget. And those are strategic goals 3, 5, and 6, and 7. Number 10 is to the enterprise resource planning system. The contract's been awarded, and this is in line with goals 3, 5, 6, and 7 again. And I want to be able to implement the new integrated cloud-based system by the end of the year. For planning and plans, strategic goal number 6, I want to complete a comprehensive training plan and policy for the district. A communications plan, I want to complete a comprehensive communications and outreach plan. And then the cyber plan, complete a comprehensive cyber policy and training plan. And that's in line with the recent grand jury report. Capital improvement projects were taken straight from the approved budget and capital improvement plan approved by the board in 2020. One being Cass Joanne accessible restroom with strategic goals number 2 and 3. And I want to be able to complete that project. And that project is on schedule to be completed in 2021. The RV park restroom and green space improvement project, my goal is to begin construction. And I'm confident that we'll be in, it will be almost complete by the end of the year, but it may stretch over into 2022, but only by a month or two. Oyster Point Marina dock surveys 1 through 6, strategic goals 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is not, I'm recommending no action on docks 1 through 6 because it's not required until December 2023. So that'll be moved to 2022 for action. Oyster Point Marina dock replacement project, docks 12, 13, and 14 in relations to strategic goals 1, 2, 3, and 4. The goal is to issue the contractor to the contract to replace docks 12, 13, and 14, and we're on schedule to do that. Surfers Beach Restoration Harbor Dredge Project. And again, that's Surfers Beach Restoration Project. Strategic goals 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. It's our goal is to get the eelgrass study and mitigation plan approved and obtain the proper permits. And it's our expectation that we will put sand, shovel to sand as early as April 2022, the growing, which is the start of the growing season for eelgrass. And that project will be accomplished in the year 2022. The West Trail Shoreline Protection Project, which is related to strategic goals 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. As mentioned earlier, the permit we're expecting to be approved on Friday by the Coastal Commission, and we're on schedule to complete that project in 2021. Replacement of vessels and vehicles, which is related to strategic goal 3 and 4. We're not requesting any new vessel or vehicles in 2021, so recommending no action on that during 2021. And then finally, construction of the administration building related to goals 1, 2, and 7. My goal in 2021 is to complete the RFP process and contract for the design and engineering firm and work through the engineering by the end of the year. That's where I ended the goals. I also attached to this was the San Mateo District Strategic Plan, our current mission statement, our approved vision statement, our core values, and then the goals are all attached. Barring any questions, that's my report.
Thank you, Jim. So I just want to open it up to commissioner comments on this.
You're muted, Virginia.
Can y'all hear me now? I'm so sorry. Basically, what we should be doing today is giving the general manager direction, but these are goals that he thinks that we can achieve in 2021 based on the strategic plan, essentially, right, Jim?
Yes, it would be great if the committee or commission could look at the goals and objectives that I've laid out and give me some input if I'm on the right track or if there's something else the district thinks I should be focusing on in 2021.
So are there any comments about Jim's presentation and the things that he is hoping to get done for 2021?
President Chang Crowley.
Yes.
I just want to applaud Jim and staff for preparing such a detailed document exploration of the year ahead work and also what we accomplished last year in 2020. I know we're going to get into more detail, but I just wanted to thank staff for this work.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, or Tom, I see your hand up. You're on mute.
That's quite a list, and it's amazing to think of how much you're tackling all at once. And it makes me very proud to be part of this organization. But, we're missing such a rare opportunity here, particularly with Catch Joanne and Princeton Seafood. There's a restaurant across the highway, and it would sure be nice, might not be practical, might not be realistic, to knock down Tenant Row. I'll tell you, I used to deliver wholesale bait to Pillar Point Harbor in the 70s, and those buildings were old and outdated then. Cinder block buildings, and you've got one of the main tenants doesn't have heat in the building. They use fire to warm the buildings. Even on no burn days, they're burning wood. To come in with an entire new tenant row would sure be something that I'd like to see before I left office, but it might not be totally feasible. With the RV lot, I'd like to see where we used to have camping. It'd sure be nice if we could have some full hookups there. And when we need a restroom to go with that, I'd like to also consider the new docking area that's been proposed for several decades, and make sure that if we needed a restroom, could we improve the restroom at the launch ramp and make it sufficient that we didn't need 2 restrooms. For Oyster Point, it's exciting to read about South San Francisco getting money, design, completion, and direction to build an overpass over 101. But on a smaller scale, I would sure like to see a fuel dock at that harbor. And since we can't pick up a fuel dock and carry it with us, since we can't pick up a 40,000 square foot office building and take it with us, I'd like to see Oyster Point or South San Francisco start soliciting funding and opportunities to make those things happen. We're more than willing to work together with them in a management capability, but there's no reason why the Harbor District should be funding the cost of a fuel dock or a 40,000 square foot building. So those are just some of my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Matoush. Commissioner Zemke, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I want to thank Jim for putting together a really good list of goals. And since I'm really new at this, I probably don't really have much to offer. And speaking to Tom's comment, I really have no comments one way or the other as far as fuel docks. I know that the city of South San Francisco has taken out the old fueling system, and as far as I know, has really no interest in pursuing replacement of that fuel dock. The one thing that comes to mind, I know that there's a lot going on right now at Oyster Point Harbor, and I'm not sure maybe it's too soon to really think about any goals about what you do next after, the Kilroy project will be, doing some significant upgrades to the trail along the western land side. And there may be opportunities to look at what happens in that transition between the new Bay Trail and the additional material they're going to put into deal with sea level rise, the transition between that and the docks may need some attention at some point. I know Jim kind of pointed this out to me when we were out there before. Also the spit, which is where the Harbor District's office at. The city is, doing some study work on what to do and how to raise that land. So, but it's probably premature to really have a goal of what our reaction needs to be. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Lorenz, do you have any comments? I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, I have some comments. Well, first of all, I think it's just a point of order is that what we're talking about here, if I'm understanding the agenda correctly, is really a working plan for our general manager for the rest of this year. And some of the topics that are being brought up are really belong in a discussion later related to the master plan. Is that correct?
Jim?
That's my understanding, Commissioner Lorenz. Many of the items that were mentioned are master plan items or items that cannot be completed in 2021.
Yeah, it's just the focus for this meeting. Just a process comment. It's great that we have the document that you prepared, Jim. However, this is a public meeting, and it would have been, I think, more useful to our members of the public, and I think to the commissioners, if we had received this along with the agenda and also with links to the budget and the strategic plan, such as it is, because folks trying to find it, like, in fact, myself, when I looked at the agenda, I had no idea what this was really about. So I had to call our GM to find out. So maybe the next time we do something like this, it'd be great to give our public a chance to understand and also go into a little more detail, because we're going to be voting, I suppose, on approving a document that Jim's going to use as a working document for the rest of the year. And imagine some of the members of the public might want to weigh in on it.
Right, and I'll be taking public comment, but I just wanted to give commissioners a chance to, weigh in.
Yeah, I understand. My point was just that it'd be easier for the public to understand what we're doing had they had this in advance, because from the agenda, it wasn't really that clear. So I have a couple of comments on your list, Jim. One item I think that would be useful, since we're already involved in planning the work that's being done for Surfers Beach sand replenishment, for the West Trail sand replenishment, or Living Shoreline, and GHD and ESA have done a lot of work to understand what's going on with our sediment in the harbor. Might not be a bad idea to have on your list at least the beginnings of a sediment management plan, or at least a discussion of it in the future, so that all our stakeholders can weigh in. I know the county is doing their Plan Princeton, and that plan coincides with our plans for the harbor. The other aspect of it is that we do need to start thinking about how we're going to deal with climate change in our harbor, and the sediment management plan would be a good start. And that's something that I think we should start working with right now, because we do have the engineers working on this anyway. So just putting it together and bringing the other stakeholders to the table would be great.
If I can comment on that, Commissioner Lorenz?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, you are completely right. And I planned on, or it was my intention to just wrap that sediment plan in with the long-term dredging project, which will be used to move sediment around in the harbor. Also, hopefully in the future, to put more sand onto Surfers Beach as a natural progression of sand moves south down the California coast. It'll be an ongoing process. So that settlement plan and dredge plan really go hand in hand. And that's how I was going to wrap that in.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Are you hoping to have at least some planning meetings with the public? Because part of the sediment management plan will be, what are we going to do with the sediment that's in our harbor? And for those of you that, either members of the public or commissioners that don't know, part of the Coastal Commission's approval for the West Trail is that we study sediment movement and the biology, geology of the West Trail area where we're going to be making these changes. And the concept from the Coastal Commission on that is that it can be used to further understand how we can protect our shoreline from both sea level rise and getting rid of things like unpermitted coastal revetments on our harbor, especially, would that be on the northeastern side of the harbor?
Yeah, just as you mentioned it already with the Plan Princeton, which is aligned with what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'll be bringing that to the board in the next month or two of how the district could interact with Plan Princeton and work with other agencies. Because
that'd be great.
That's a large portion of our harbor district inside Pillar Point Harbor. And also it ties in with the saltwater marsh and with the West Trail.
Yep.
And then all wraps around to Capistrano Beach. So it's all part of that dredge sediment management plan that we'll have to do. With respect to public meetings, as we develop the plans, most definitely we'll be briefing them to the board. And if we need to have a larger public workshop on those, we most definitely will have to.
Great, thanks. Another item that I thought might be, I know that it's reflected in our budget, but it'd be maybe useful to have some statement about securing outside funding for some of the projects that we're doing. I know that that's something that staff is continually doing, but it might be useful for the public to see maybe in some spreadsheet list form what we're actually doing to secure funding for these larger projects. The pier is an example. I know we need some more funding for the surface beach sand replenishment. And probably if we do, once we do have a sediment management plan, we'll need to secure funding for some of that work too.
Yes, I can look into something like that.
Let's see. I can wait for my other items if you gives other people a chance to speak.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Lorenz. Commissioner Matoush, I thought that I saw your hand raised after Commissioner Zemke spoke. So if you'd like to chime in here at this time, that'd be great.
I think it might be a discussion at a later time. I was just going to point out with the King leases, we had a massive decrease in revenue. We've got an MOU. It may be time to look at that MOU again. Harbor without a fuel dock is a difficult sell to many people. And it's just important to say that if we don't own it and we can't pick it up and carry it with us, we've got to evaluate how we're operating there.
Commissioner Ryring, did you have any additions that you wanted to add?
No, I don't. Well, I just will lend support for a couple of things that Commissioner Matoush brought up. Absolutely agree about the fuel dock and getting South San Francisco involved in helping us find funding for some of the things we have going on. And also, I do believe that the Tenant Row project would be something really exciting to undertake. I know it's not something we can do in 2021, but Commissioner Matoush put it out there, and I'll just wave a flag and say I think that's very interesting as well.
Commissioner Lorenz, do you want to add the rest of your comments to this?
Yeah, I actually have a question for Tom, if you don't mind. Just
No, please. This is the discussion period for the board, and I know we have a public comment hand raised too, so we can
So
do
Tom,
that after you ask Tom your question.
Okay, I just want to know more about what you were saying about the fuel dock. You were talking about the fuel dock here in Pillar Point Harbor.
No, I was talking about Oyster Point and the need for a fuel dock at a harbor as a draw for the large vessels that you've got there.
Yeah, okay.
We want to talk about Pillar Point. Let's redo some of the other leases there too. But I think that the staff is already looking at all the leases that we've got.
Right.
Okay,
You want to get member of the public?
yeah, that's fine. John Ullum has his hand up. If you could please turn on the timer, Melanie. Mr. Ullum, thank you.
Thank you, President Mary. Shout out to Tom Matoush about the fuel dock. As you know, this was brought up when you guys were approving to allocate money to build big docks for big boats. And it's kind of interesting that you would bring up the fuel dock now and not back then, as that kind of impacted it. One thing I've noticed is seriously missing in your budget discussions or your priorities is Johnson Pier. As you know, the district has spent pretty close to $500,000 in mediation efforts regarding the situation out at Johnson Pier. Absolutely nothing has been accomplished for that, other than we've put the fishermen in debt to the district now. From the page 10 of the arbitrator's report, it makes clear that especially during the, I'm quoting now, especially during the crab salmon season, the pier is described as mayhem, the Wild West, and chaos. Seafood workers, boats, hoist containers, ice forklifts, vehicles, and the occasional tourists, all jockeying for space, sometimes around the clock. Only by the courtesy of the dock workers has no one yet gotten killed out there. And as some of you know, and everybody should know, Commissioner Corrali is on the record, has told people that there is $7 million that has been approved for work at Johnson Pier, that the money is available still, that the reason we're not moving on Johnson Pier is because of COVID and maintaining some sort of budget surplus. And apparently the GM is the one who's decided this, according to Ms. Corrali. But again, she makes clear that, and I quote, "For your information, the reason the current budget didn't have anything in there about Johnson Pier is that in last year's budget, $7 million was approved by the board majority for that project. The project is on and the money is still available." I am just baffled that if you've got $7 million for a project that you've approved.
Thank you, Mr. Ullum. Commissioner Lorenz, do you want to continue based on your last comment?
I'd like to give Jim a chance to tell us what, at least for this coming year, what he has in mind for Johnson Pier. You have it on your list.
Thank you, Commissioner Lorenz. Johnson Pier, our main focus out there and has been is the safety of everybody who utilizes it, from commercial fishermen to recreational boaters to slip owners and to tourists and to customers that come out there and purchase fish, both commercially and privately. Our first step is, because we're not going to be able to build a new Johnson Pier in the near future, is to come up with an operational safety plan for the pier itself and a parking plan for the pier itself. One of the major concerns I have right now as an operator is the fact that you go on the weekends and people and it's private citizens who are buying fish off the boat are driving their cars out onto Johnson Pier and parking and then driving off, which is due to the limited space of the base of that pier. We just can't simply allow that, because the fish buyers have to be able to get their trucks out there, and we have to be able to safely walk on that Johnson Pier. So there's several aspects of that safety plan with Johnson Pier itself. I've already had a meeting with the 3 tenants at the end of the pier with Johnson Pier, and we're currently trying to put together a skeleton operational safety pier for the pier terminus. But it's my hope that we can wrap in the rest of Johnson Pier as we go through that. And we haven't Staff hasn't put together a schedule or a methodology yet on public comment on it, but we will definitely need to have a public meeting on that safety plan and get public feedback on safety measures that may be proposed, or they may have a better idea to implement a safety measure to achieve safety goals. So that's our plan for this year, is that safety plan. The Johnson Pier project of expanding it and making the terminus larger, it's still an approved project for the district. It is still a top priority for the district based on last year's discussions. And we continue to look for funding for the $14.5 million project. And we're hoping that during our master plan discussion, part of that master planning will also include sources of income or methods of getting income revenue to build the new Johnson Pier. So that was my line of thinking and how I've been proceeding.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Mathush?
I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that General Manager Pruitt has already made significant progress on signage, on curb, and operations that are taking place on the pier now. I've seen a number of changes along the entire length of the pier and at the end since Jim's come on board.
Thank you, Commissioner Mathush. Commissioner Zemke, do you have any other comments?
No, not at this time.
Commissioner Lorenz?
I have one last comment. First, I'd like to thank Jim for the work that he and his staff are doing. I appreciate the effort. I'm still going to say this at our meetings, that having a meeting such as this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon during the middle of the week is not a way to bring in our public. If you look at the number of participants that we have exactly 4. And this is an important topic to most folks, how we're going to spend our money and how Jim and staff are going to spend their time. So I would appreciate at least you folks giving some thought to having the meetings at a time when most of the public can join us for these important meetings.
Thank
So-
you. I'm sorry, go on, Ed. Did you have any other?
That was it. Thank you.
Okay, so I haven't made a comment yet, but I just want to commend the general manager for the work that he's put in and the thought that he's put into the goals and objectives that I think were well presented to the board today, and based off of the strategic plan that was finished at the end of 2019. And Jim, I think that these goals are admirable, especially with regard to the finances. So thank you for focusing on that. I think Commissioner Mathush has brought up some great points with regard to Oyster Point and how we can, get a fuel dock there that will support what we're doing in terms of infrastructure and capital improvements to combat sea level rise, but also to kind of bring in some revenues to help support all of our efforts and, basically the tenants as well in the boats that go in and out. So do you have any last comments that you would like to make, Jim? Because if not, then I entertain a motion to.
If I can, President Corrali, I'd like to make a few more comments.
Okay, please.
Thank you very much. The list of goals for 2021 are just kind of the major highlights that we're going to be focusing on, and they're the major moving parts. But we'll continue to do our daily work. We'll continue to enforce the rules and regulations of the harbor, ensure a safe and inviting harbor for the people to come visit and enjoy. But I just wanted to kind of document some of the major muscle movements that we're working on in addition to our daily activities. And the staff, again, both at Oyster Point and Pillar Point, have done a remarkable job over this last year in maintaining that safety and the operations of both facilities. And thank you.
And I agree with you on that, Jim. I want to commend the staff as well. I think, the overarching goal of the Harbor District is just to make sure that we're fulfilling our mission. And I think that this these goals for 2021 that you and your staff will be working on. We'll do that, and I have no doubt that you'll continue the daily operational tasks that have to be done to make sure that the public has access to clean and safe marinas at both Oyster Point and Pillar Point. So would it be helpful, Jim, for the board to just make a motion to adopt these goals right now so that you have direction for 2021, with the understanding that, there might be things that come up that might, like God, after 2020, COVID or whatever, something new, who knows, but at least set you on the right path right now for 2021 with these particular goals. Because if that's the case, I'll entertain a motion if that'll help you.
Tricia, help me out with, but Commissioner President Corrali, what I think all I need is just that commission agrees with what I plan on working on over the next year. And,
Okay.
and if they want, the commission wants me to add or subtract any area of focus, just let me know. But I don't think we need a formal motion for the district to adopt these goals, but just more of an agreement that I should be working on these.
That makes sense. However you find it most helpful to get direction from the board, any of these items needs to come back before the board for them to take action to actually approve it. So this is just direction for you to have a work plan. And so I think it boils down to what you feel most comfortable in hearing from them. And if it's just this discussion and you can hear what members, what the commissioners think about each of these, and if that's sufficient, then no formal action is needed.
But whatever you prefer to have for the record, President Corrali, I'm okay with the motion, but I don't know if it's necessary for what I need to do.
Perhaps you'd like a motion to adjourn.
Well, hold on. I mean, yeah, I'm fine either way, but I almost feel like if we had formal action, then you really know that this is what the board is determined to have you accomplish, or, the majority of this, barring an unforeseen situation like we had, in 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine with me, and there's no negative connotation for taking that action.
Okay.
Commissioner Lorenz has his hand raised.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Lorenz, I didn't see your hand raised.
It's okay.
Sorry.
I just raised it.
Okay.
Is there a way that this can go on our website so that our
It's on the website, Commissioner Lorenz.
Oh, okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Reiering, I think that you had a comment as well.
Oh, yeah, I'll just say again that I'm so impressed by the way Jim has laid out this list of goals and tied them to our strategic plan and our ongoing projects. And I also appreciate the attention to budget and finance. And I have complete confidence in our general manager's ability to juggle these goals in the most productive and appropriate way in the year going forward.
Okay, great. So I guess you kind of got your orders. I don't think we'll formalize anything. Tom, did you have a motion? I think you wanted to make a motion to adjourn. So we can do that if everyone's okay with making these goals direction for Jim to work on for 2021.
I'll restate my motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Reiering,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali.
Aye. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned at 1:55.
Thank you, everybody.
Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.